Hi everyone. So now we are planning to discuss a bridge design pattern. So bridge design pattern is nothing but a pattern which separates interface from its implementation. It separates interface from its implementation. That's what a bridge is. So just to give you all an example so that you can relate this pattern into real life world, the technical support team acts as an interface to the product, whereas the development team implements the product. So development team is sitting down there designing and implementing the product, and once the product is ready, it's released to the customers. And if we find any issues with the product, we as a client will talk to support team, not to the development team. So the technical support team is the one with which the clients interact, and technical support team definitely separates the development team from customers. So development team designs the product, implements the product, and there is a support team which interacts with the clients or the customers, and it separates it from the development team. So the support team here is separating clients from the development team. So bridge pattern is nothing but a pattern which separates the interface from its implementation. So in this example, who is interface and who is implementation? Development team is implementation. Development team is implementation, and technical support team is the interface. Development team is the implementation and technical support team is the interface. So bridge separates the interface from the implementation. Okay, so I have a very beautiful example here on the screen. Now suppose I have an image class, C image class. I can load an image, I can show an image. I'm loading an image, I'm showing an image. So now this image can be of BMP format, JPEG format. Tomorrow I can add a PNG format. So all the different formats of this image are inheriting from this C image class. So I'm saying load BMP image, I'm saying load JPEG image, I'm saying show BMP, show JPEG. But actually it's implemented over here on the right hand side. I have C image IMP. IMP stands for implementation. So I have C image implementation class. Inside that I have APIs called init, image info, and paint image. So initialize the image and paint it. And here, as far as the implementation goes, the way we initialize and paint an image is different in Windows in comparison with OS2. So I have a class for Windows implementation, I have a class for OS2 implementation. So for different interfaces, for different OSs, the way the image is going to be printed, the way image is going to be initialized is different. So that's why I have a Windows implementation of image here, OS2 implementation here. Suppose I have a Linux, suppose I have all the different OSs can come in here. So this hierarchy is a hierarchy of interfaces, and this hierarchy is a hierarchy of implementations. I repeat, this hierarchy is a hierarchy of interfaces, and this hierarchy is a hierarchy of implementations. So I'm separating interface from implementation, and that's what a bridge is. It separates interface from implementation. Clear? Now let's discuss what are the different benefits of using bridge. So the first benefit of using a bridge is decoupling. Decoupling abstraction from implementation. Normally inheritance tightly couples an abstraction with an implementation at compile time. Normally when we use interface, at compile time itself, inheritance tightly couples abstraction and the implementation together. So we can use bridge pattern to avoid the binding between abstraction and implementation to select the implementation at runtime. We can definitely use a bridge pattern so as to avoid the binding between abstraction and implementation and to select the implementation at runtime. I'll again brief the discussion on decoupling. The first benefit of using bridge pattern is decoupling. So we are decoupling abstraction from implementation. Inheritance, if we use, it tightly couples an abstraction with an implementation at compile time. But bridge pattern can be definitely used to avoid the binding between abstraction and implementation and to select the implementation at runtime. Great. The next benefit of using a bridge pattern is reduction in number of subclasses. I repeat, reduction in number of subclasses. Sometimes using pure inheritance will increase the number of subclasses. Let us assume that a full-blown version of image viewer that I had shown in the previous slide supports 6 image formats in 3 different operating systems. So in the diagram that I had shown here, I showed 2 different formats and 2 different OSs. But let's consider that we had 6 different image formats to be supported in 3 different operating systems. So pure inheritance would have resulted in 18 different subclasses. Suppose I had just used inheritance to solve this problem, I would have required 6 into 3, 18 different subclasses. But by applying a bridge pattern, it reduces the subclasses to only 9, 6 plus 3. Using a bridge pattern, we have reduced the number of subclasses to only 9, 6 formats, 3 OSs, 6 plus 3, that's it. So in reduction, we reduce the number of subclasses which are involved, because sometimes pure inheritance will increase the number of subclasses. So in this example, suppose I have 6 image formats to be supported in 3 different operating systems. If we had just used inheritance, we would have required 18 different subclasses. But using bridge pattern, it is boiled down to only 9 different subclasses, 6 formats, 3 OS, 6 plus 3. That's it. The next advantage of using a bridge pattern is cleaner code. Code becomes very clean, and reduction in executable size. So in the above example, in this example, operating system specific code is encapsulated in C image IMP classes, subclasses, right? So C Win IMP will have Windows related code. C OS2 IMP will have OS2 related code. So the operating system specific code is encapsulated in CIMG IMP subclasses. This results in a cleaner code without much preprocessor statements like #ifdef, #ifndef inside the code. So since operating system specific classes are disjoint here, we don't have to write a single code with all operating system supports into one. So remember, anytime in your life, if you want to support your module in different operating systems, please use a bridge pattern. Please use a bridge pattern if you want to support different operating systems in your module, so that one operating system code will go into its own class, and we don't have to have a single program having all those. It will become well organized. So this results in a cleaner code without much preprocessor statements. Also, it is easy to conditionally compile C, IMG, IMP subclasses. We can conditionally compile the implementation classes for a given operating system to reduce the size of executable. This is fascinating feature. Suppose you are planning to run your module on Windows, just conditionally compile your module on Windows only. If you are planning to run your module on Linux operating system, just conditionally compile it using Linux implementation class only. So the executable size will reduce like anything. So the third benefit is having a cleaner code, and it reduces the executable size. How? Because the operating system specific code is encapsulated in CIMG implementation subclasses. So this results in a cleaner code without any much of a preprocessor statements. Also, you can conditionally compile image implementation classes for a given operating system to reduce the size of the executable. The next benefit that I have here is interface and implementation can be varied independently. I repeat, interface and implementation can be varied independently. Maintaining two different class hierarchies for interface and implementation entitles to vary one independent of another. So in this example, I have two different class hierarchies. One is for interfaces and the second class hierarchy is for implementation. So now that we have two different hierarchies, one for interface and another for implementation, I can vary both of them independently. The next benefit that I have of a bridge pattern is extensibility. Abstraction and implementation can be extended independently. As mentioned earlier, the above example can be easily extended to view other image formats on Windows or view BMP images on other operating systems. So I can use one format to view on another operating system, or I can support another totally new format into, say, Windows operating system. And the last benefit that I see here in using a bridge pattern is loosely coupled client code. Loosely coupled client code. The abstraction separates the client code from the implementation. So the implementation can be changed without affecting the client code, because abstraction layer separates the client code from the implementation, right? So implementation can be definitely changed without affecting the client code, and the client code need not be compiled when implementation changes, right? So these were the benefits of the bridge. Now that we have seen the benefits of the bridge, there will be definitely some drawbacks as well, right? So the drawbacks of bridge pattern is, the first is double indirection. Because now I have two different class hierarchies. To go to implementation, I have to go through interface. So double indirection. First indirection to reach to interface, second indirection to reach to the implementation. So just to example double indirection, in the above example that I have here on my screen, operating system specific methods are implemented by subclasses of image implementation, right? CImage class must delegate the message to CImage IMP classes. So the CImage have to delegate to CImage IMP classes, which implements the appropriate method. This will have slight impact on the performance. So there are two levels of indirection here. Okay. Now this is the code example that I have here for the bridge design pattern. So in my UML diagram, how many different class hierarchies do I have? Two. One is interface classes, second is implementation classes. So in the example, let's show the implementation classes to you all first. So I have a time implementation class which will accept hour and minute and assign it to the data members. Then there is a function called a tell which just prints the time on the screen. Simple. In the constructor I am accepting hours and minutes, and here I am printing it on the screen. Very simple. Now this implementation class is a base class. Let's inherit two different concrete implementation classes now. I have something called Zulu time implementation and I call civilian time implementation. So in Zulu time implementation, in the constructor, it accepts hours, minutes and zone. So from these three parameters, I invoked the constructor of its base class and I pass hours and minutes to it. And for the third new parameter that has come in, zone, I check whether zone is equal to 5. If zone is equal to 5, I save Eastern Standard Time in it. If zone is equal to 6, I save Central Standard Time in zone variable. So I repeat, if zone is equal to 5, I save Eastern Standard Time. If zone is 6, I save Central Standard Time. Simple. And what the tell function does here, it just prints hours, minutes and a zone now. Can you all read civilian time implementation and explain me this? So the civilian implementation time is inheriting again from time implementation. It accepts hours, minutes and PM. So hours and minutes, it supplies as parameters to its base class. If PM is true, then copy PM string into whichem. And if PM is false, save AM into whichem. And what will tell do? It will just print hours, minutes and whichem variable on the screen. Simple. So I have three implementation classes here. In the base, I just have hours and minutes. In Zulu time implementation, I have zone as well. And in civilian time implementation, I have whichem, which will tell me PM or AM. So the common thing is hours and minutes, which I have taken on top. What is different in Zulu time IMPL? Zone. What is different in civilian time IMPL? PM. Okay. Now that I have created a hierarchy of implementation, let's create a hierarchy of interfaces. So I have a class called time here, which is the base interface class. What is it doing? It is accepting hours and minutes as parameters and it instantiates time IMP class. This time is a base class of interface hierarchy. This time is a base class of interface hierarchy. Which was the base class of implementation hierarchy? Which was the base class of implementation hierarchy? Time IMP. That's why time interface class is going to instantiate time IMP class and pass hours and minutes to it. And this IMP will have time IMP object. And what will tell do? Tell will call tell API of this IMP object. That means it will call tell function of time IMP object. Now just like from time IMP, I had inherited two different concrete IMP classes. One was Zulu time IMP, second was civilian time IMP. Similarly, inherit the civilian time and Zulu time from the time class. So in the civilian time, in the constructor of that, I accept hours, minutes and PM. And what do? I create a civilian time IMP object and I pass all these three parameters to it. Same goes with Zulu time. Zulu time, I have hours, minutes and zone and create Zulu time IMP and pass three parameters. So this is the interface hierarchy and that was implementation hierarchy. So this was the implementation hierarchy. This is the interface hierarchy. Now in the main function, okay, so for how is this a bridge pattern, tell me? Because I have one hierarchy of interfaces only, which in turn is creating objects of implementation classes. I repeat, we create one hierarchy of interfaces only, which in turn are invoking or creating objects of their implementation classes. So class time is the interface class which creates a time IMP class object. Class civilian time is an interface class which creates civilian time IMP class. Class Zulu time is an interface class which creates Zulu time IMP class. So each interface class will call its respective implementation class. And in the main function, that's the client, what do? I create three time pointers, that is the interface pointers. I call a new time and I pass values to it. I call new civilian time, pass values to it. I call Zulu time, pass values to it. And then for all these guys, I just call its tell function. So new time will internally create new time IMP. New civilian time will internally create new civilian time IMP. And new Zulu time will internally create new Zulu time IMP. And this tell will call the tell of this guy, which internally will call tell of the implementation classes. This tell is tell from interfaces, right? But which will internally call tell of the implementation classes. So this tell will call, the first iteration tell will call tell of time IMPL. Second tell will call tell from civilian time IMPL. Third tell will call from Zulu time IMPL. Okay. So that's all I had from the bridge pattern. Thanks a lot.